Hi everyone, welcome to this month's Rayobyte Story. I am Shafat Hussain, I'm the marketing manager at Rayobyte, and today I have Max Gutchenko, VP of Engineering with me. Max, why don't you start with a brief introduction about who you are and what your role is in Rayobyte?
Sure. I'm Max. I'm VP of Technology here at Rayobyte, as you said. So I'm kind of responsible for anything related to technology or tech team in our company. I'm right now also responsible for product owning of a product called residential proxies. I'm kind of in transition between those two roles, trying to wear several hats at a time. I'm not sure what kind of background or any other part of story you're interested about.
Well, maybe you can discuss some of the best projects that you've worked on here at Rayobyte. What's your proudest moment working here?
Well, the best project, ironically, is a residential project. That's because I joined the company exactly in the moment when we've been starting this project, which was 3.5, almost 4 years ago already. Oh, soon. Yeah, so that was the very beginning of the residential project. We even started from like trying to make it a proxy manager, even trying to find product market fit, and that was where I joined, and we built this early on MVP stages of the product, and it was working. So it was kind of proud moment to see that everything is working. The proudest moment was, of course, getting first customers and supporting them. When I get the feedback, when I understand what works for them, what doesn't work, and seeing the stuff we've been building for a few months finally give some value to our customers. That's a proud moment for sure.
Absolutely. And we just started working with the residential product back then. And 4 years down the road, when you see this many customers, this amount of visibility around the market, everybody's talking about it. How does that make you feel?
Um, Feels great. Of course, the scale of the product within just few years was amazing. Ironically, it's still much more proud moment when you get those first customers in. When you're
Right.
scaling stuff, you're already like having some challenges which are interesting by themselves, but feeling that you found something that brings value to first customers, much that gives you much bigger scale of excitement than just scaling from 1 to even 10 customers, or from 10 from 200, and so on and so on. So yeah, it's really exciting, but I would say the scale of excitement decreases slowly by number of customers. So first excitement is the best so far.
Well, in order to keep that excitement up, we may need to, keep building new products with you.
Yeah, for sure. And we are having some in works already, which I'm waiting to see how they work soon.
Well, would you like to discuss maybe in a little detail to our customers or whoever is listening in terms of what's coming?
Sure. So we always try to scale into this data extraction vertical, so it can be taken many forms. So if you think about customers who may not want to pay anything at all to you, then we have some learning material for you, some knowledge base, some Rayobyte University, so ways you can for free just to know how to get where you want to be. Then we have like the basic next level will be proxies, let's say DC proxies. So they're static, they're stable, they're not so sophisticated residential, but they're giving you where you need to be for relatively cheap. Then you go the residential proxies, other types of proxies, but at the above this, you have some scraping needs. So someone who doesn't want to really worry about proxies per se, and how to not worry about how to scrape websites. They just want to get results every single time. So for this, we have already two products. One would be Scraping Robot, which is
Uh-huh.
around for quite a while, but it's more like API integration. It does work, but we found for some customers, they need to do this transition from using proxies to using scraping API. And also they don't want to mess around with like many platforms integrating their API. So we built a product called Web Unblocker, just recently released it as well. So it's somewhere in between scraping robot and proxies, because you can integrate it as easily as proxies. The same code you're using probably would be working, just maybe one extra bit added, but it would give you results every time. So you don't need to mess around with unblocking stuff or defining which properties to use, which headers, fingerprints, all of this stuff. So it does all of this for you. So that is the next level or in this vertical getting to the data.
Well, that actually really sounds interesting. And you recently attended a Future of Proxy Technology conference of Zeit, I
Sure.
think, and there was like a
Yes.
whole leadership retreat planned around it. Could you talk to us
Correct.
about
So we are
there?
doing this every year. Actually, I'm personally only joining the last 2 years. I think 3 years ago it was online conference. 2 years ago, sorry, last year it was in Ireland. This year it was in US, Texas, Austin. And so that conference is called
The
Web
Wild
Data
West.
Extract. Sorry?
The Wild West.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, technically that's south, but yeah, Wild West would be more proper discussion. Or description of it. So yeah, they call this conference Web Data Extract Summit. I think that's the same name every year, but I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But that's basically the topic. They combine different speakers from different companies who are talking and presenting recent innovation or where the market is going to in area of web data extraction. So we are talking about our company or where we see how the market is changing in terms of mostly proxies, of course, but a little bit also about scraping. There are different speakers who are either providing services, proxy scraping, or data, or who are using this data. So there are different parts. This is a really interesting mixture of people who are collaborating, who are clients, but also competitors. But this market is all about competing, but also being friendly to each other and being clients even sometimes of each other.
Well, that's what we want, right? Like we want a healthy competition between everyone and also working together because there is a lot of work to do.
Oh yeah, for sure. There is a lot of work to do, and we won't be able to do this ourselves. We really need to share all this knowledge and work
Absolutely.
closely together and help each other.
Absolutely. And it was your first time visiting the United States as well, right?
Yes, for sure. That was my first time visiting US in general. And actually, after the retreat, we spent about a week in retreat. We also been that's unique moment. We are a remote first company, so that's unique moment where we can work together in the same room for a week. We spent it in Texas mostly, but also after this, my coworker Michelle. Hi Michelle, kudos to you. She proposed me that she can do one more week and spend with me traveling through the US, mostly through the national parks. And that was so beautiful. I'll need to share with you some photos. Like, I really appreciate what Michelle did. I wouldn't be able to see anything like this without her.
Well, that's really amazing to hear. What birds did you go to? What did you explore?
So we went to first, we flew to Las Vegas. We haven't spent much time there. It was just our first
Sin City.
starting point where we took our car. Sorry?
Sin City. All right.
Yes, in city exactly. We didn't do much seeing. We had not enough time, so we only took a car from there, and then we got to Zion National Park. I think it's Arizona. I might be wrong. So we've been traveling on the border between Arizona and Utah all the time. But basically, we got to Zion National Park. It was really beautiful. A lot of like mountains, great views. We got a little bit late there, so we didn't spend too much time there. Then we got to Bryce, and I think it was Utah already. But again, I may be wrong. Sorry. Bryce was really. It was the most breathtaking moment for me because I couldn't see such. I don't even words to explain this. Like such a view. It's so huge. All these mountains, all these views, rivers. Like I really want to show you some photos, but even after I show you, it doesn't explain you how great it is. It was really breathtaking moment. After this, we went to visit Grand Canyon. That was definitely the most important point of this trip. It was definitely huge and grand as you expect it to be, even more. One note, Michelle asked me like, what was the best moment or most exciting moment of this trip? For me, even though Grand Canyon definitely was much better than Bryce, the Bryce was much bigger excitement just because it was first in the line. Similar to what I was telling you earlier about new project, like first few clients are much more exciting than the next 100. Not because like 100 is less important, but because they've been the first. So the Bryce was the first breathtaking moment for me. Grand Canyon was definitely huge and impressive, and I made tons of great photos there. But Bryce was just first in line.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And so, in our Rayobyte Stories segment, we try to really get to know the individual, like get into his psychology, like what excites you, and like what motivates you and inspires you. And we already know, like creating new products and like having that first customer really excites you. But outside work, what would you make of that same kind of acceleration? What do you
Um,
what do
I'm an engineer, so I have this nerdy interest as well. So stuff like electronics, I'm doing some soldering and making my own circuits and building some smaller devices. Or right now, recent one, my wife built me 3D printer, which doesn't stop printing at all. Literally, week after getting it, I was Googling something at one forum, like, can I keep it idle on for the night? And so the guy was on Reddit asking the same question, like, when it's not printing, can I still keep it on? Is it like not hazardous? And the first reply with most likes was, what do you mean it's not printing? I don't get the question. And my wife was laughing and crying at the same time because that's exactly the point. I'm printing all day long, some stuff. Useless mostly, but it's still quite exciting.
what are some of the things you've created?
The most recent one, which was quite useful, I've self-designed and printed knife organizer for the drawer. My wife wanted to
Okay.
get some knife organizer for the drawer, but every single one we've been finding was either design wasn't matching, color wasn't matching, or mostly the size. We already have specific size for it, but with 3D printing, you can model anything precisely to millimeter and build it. So I built one, and it's right now standing in our kitchen, and it looks great, and it's exactly the size we wanted it to be.
Well, that's awesome. And it's working fine. It's working perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's built from the plastic, the same plastic you usually use for stuff like this. So it's the same plastic. It's just self-designed and self-printed at home. So
Wow,
yeah.
that's some really cool stuff. And you mentioned you're working with circuits. Like, are you doing PCB designs or? Uh,
A little bit, I wouldn't say like a design, it's just a messy wires everywhere. So design would be an overkill name for this. But yeah, I was doing some circuits which I was doing for myself. So for example, maybe the funniest example, not the most convenient one. When I was working previous job, I had my own like office room, and I was all the time on calls, and my team was all the time coming in to me and asking like, "Are you out of calls? You need to talk, blah blah." But I was literally like on calls maybe 4 hours a day at least. So I designed this small Bluetooth connected two devices. One of these was huge red button which I integrated into my table at work, and another was like a light bulb at the outer side of my room. So I was clicking this button when I was talking, and it was shining red, saying like "on air, don't come in." So this was a hint for my team not to come in
wow,
because I'm on call.
wow, awesome.
Yeah,
That's a really interesting. I wish I could like. I'm having some trouble visualizing it, so I wish I could like see how it looks.
I
But like,
think I have a video somewhere. I can share it with you. So I also
okay,
tried to
yeah.
make it like fancy looking, like old school. You know this. Um,
Mhm.
they had this lamp saying "on air" in TV rooms, or like when they're making filming when they light it up. So I try to theme it this way so it looks like original one.
All right, yeah. Well, I think these are some really nice hobbies that you have where, like, you're working with hardwares, you're working with 3D printers, which I think involves, like, creating designs in Blender. Like, what app do you use?
Yeah, so it's hardware, of course, software, and then the casing or some 3D printed material. I'm mostly using Fusion 360. That's probably the most common among 3D enthusiasts who are using 3D printers. So I also use SketchUp, but it's probably more for landscape design, like house
Mhm.
and landscape
Right.
around it. So, but for 3D printing, mostly Fusion 360, that's the most common.
Right. So that makes me wonder, and I'm sorry, this might be a bit difficult question for you, but you're doing all these things with like either hardware or software, or like building really nice scraping products for us. What what would you be like? What Who would Max be if he weren't an engineer? What did
Mm,
you want to become as a kid?
I believe there would be no Max if I wouldn't be an engineer, because that's just me. It's more about what else would I do? Well, I'm actually interested and passionate about building startups and businesses. That's probably also related to this, 0 to 1 part when you're just getting traction of the product. So I'm right
Right.
now trying to learn how to build those products, how to build startups within the company. That's why I'm right now like trying this product
Right.
owner role, because it gives me exactly the skills I'm lacking as an engineer. As an
Right.
engineer, you know how to build the product, but you don't know how to make a product, how to sell it, how to define product market fit, how to get feedback from your clients, how to get out of the building finally and ask for this feedback. So engineers are usually staying in the building as long as they can.
Right, right. Well, yeah. So you're adopting sort of like an entrepreneurial role inside the company.
True. Yeah,
But do
that's
you
correct.
do you want to like build your own startup someday?
I actually had my own company. Maybe I've sold it in 2017. Though it
Okay,
wasn't really a product company, it was more outsourcing company. But since then I decided I want to learn how to build SaaS companies rather than outsourcing. They can be sold better, to be honest.
right. Yeah,
So yeah, maybe one day I'll learn how to build those products, how to sell them, and then I can get back to building my own startup. So yeah, that will be definitely interesting.
yeah. I'm looking forward to it. And like, do you give it like recently, like, have you given it in any deeper thoughts? Do you have any vertical you want to work on?
Um, you mean what exact type of product?
Yeah, because so like I think you and I are quite similar in this aspect, because
Mm-hmm.
I also really love building something from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
But the
Yeah.
problem is we don't know what to work with in that sense, because
Mm-hmm.
there's too many problems in the world, right? So you could work with something in health, you could work in something in education sector, you could
Mm-hmm.
work something in the
Got it.
data sector. So it gets really overwhelmed really soon. So like have
Sure,
you
sure.
given
No,
it?
I
Yeah.
understand the question. So honestly, the topic doesn't matter that much to me. I Before I joined Sprius, I was trying to build a smaller startup with a friend of mine, and we always say this startup was about HR and hiring IT guys. So we tried to build a platform for that. But actually, while we've been working on this, we tried 10 different ideas, absolutely different, not even related to HR. Sometimes it's like home plumbing, or like we even said at one point, if we find a good, interesting way how to sell sandwiches or do the kebab shop, and that will be a startup which can scale where we see an opportunity. So let it be. We don't really worry about the topic. It's more about how to build a business that can scale later.
I see. I hear you. We're almost at the end of our time that we had scheduled today. So let me ask you this. Uh, what's next for Max? Whether that's in engineering, whether that's at Sprius.
Um, I still hope it's at Prius. So far things doing good. I think the next is what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to learn how to be a good product owner, how to scale a product, how to make good product, how to please customers, how to scale amount of customers, all of this stuff. So yeah, just today I had really good. Oh no, you've been a part of this discussion. Okay, you've been part of the second discussion. We had a discussion with you about acquisition, how to improve the acquisition, and
Right.
just hour before that we had a really fruitful discussion about the retention, how to improve it, how to track it, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, who should be responsible, all of this stuff. This is not usually what an engineer or even like CTO or type of role is discussing. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because I learned something new. So for
Right.
me, for the next 5 years is I want to learn enough about startups and product development outside of tech side. For the tech
Right.
side, there's still plenty of things to learn. Don't get me wrong, like it's all the time evolving sphere, but the progress there goes really slowly because I know already quite a lot. I'm developing since I don't know 15, and I've been team lead manager since 20. So for many years already. So, but those topics about product acquisition, retention, sales, marketing, all of this is something I usually don't touch that much and don't learn about it. And right now I have huge boost about learning just because of like Rayobyte providing me this opportunity.
Right. And I can actually attest to the fact because I've been working with you closely. You are a tremendous learner. You're learning so fast that I'm often insecure that you're going to outlearn me. So really
No,
kudos to
never
you.
happened.
And I think that's a really great plan for the future. Any messages or any last remarks you want to share with our audience?
Uh, I'm not sure. You're scaring me out with those questions. I'm an engineer. Ask me a precise question. Zero, one, one or zero. Just one of these two.
Well, all right. Yeah. In the matrix, are you a zero or a one?
Hmm, that's a good question. I hope I'm a combination more complex than just one, zero, one.
Right. I think that's what we all hope. All right. Thank you so much, Max. Thank you for making the time. Thank you for sharing a little bit about your story. I really hope for our audience it was also enlightening and delightful, like it was for me. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
chef. Have a nice day. Bye.